Bigger, bolder, faster. Boom, I'm going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum.
There we go. Awesome. Super hyped about this, mostly because I'm a very, very big fan of physical NFTs, so much so that I have a chip in my hand and I created the NFT tattoo. And you can scan it with your phone. Now, I did that more so as a way of proving you can be on the blockchain and live on the blockchain, and people can own a piece of my arm. But that's just what I'm a fan of personally. So I'm really excited to talk with you guys, and I would love to get an intro from each of you about your space and your company first. So let's start over here.
All right. I'm Sherry Gotuaco from Scarlet Box, and what we aim to do is we want to bridge the generations through arts and culture. And how we do it is we work with blue chip, real life fine arts artists, like national artists, and we are able to extend their work so that we create beautiful one-of-ones, so that we can now have a younger generation also own a piece of their work, and we have beautiful physical collectibles that go with the NFT, so it makes it very fun to collect.
Awesome, thank you.
My name is Andrew. I'm the co-founder of Evereye, anime-based PFP project. We sold out in March. And really what we're here to do in the space is to help enable community members to contribute to a long-term brand of IP through ownership, through access to drops, and through events around the world.
I'm Kobe. I'm the founder of Nefertiti. Nefertiti is a NFT data analytics platform. We help investors and traders appraise NFTs, get different relevant data such as market data, blockchain data, rarity, traits, etc., organized with a sleek UX and easy to use. And we're also a data provider on Chainlink and working with companies and providing our data externally through an API.
Hello, I am Aldrin. I am an artist both traditional and digital, and I'm also the co-founder of Meetspace Web3 Art Gallery that promotes traditional art discipline and digital art discipline. Thank you.
Awesome. And let's start out with the most traditional use case or generative use case with Andrew. You guys launched a profile picture project, but you didn't just stop there. You created a whole ecosystem. Can you explain what you guys did?
Yeah, so at the beginning, we launched around March and started, the project sometime around like July of last year. And, at the beginning, it was really about the most compelling piece of NFTs and its utility at the beginning is good art, right? Without good art, it's really hard to build a compelling story beyond. And, looking at the likes of people like Azuki, which were a big inspiration for us because we were in like the anime meta, a lot of our project is based on Evangelion and Gundam. The number one thing that we realized is that membership for us, was the biggest use case. And, that is the primary utility of, generative PFPs, the membership to the ecosystem. And, with that, the ecosystem that we're building is really heavily inspired by, traditional anime IPs, right? The only difference is that the holders would be able to own a piece of that IP, in regards to the commercial rights, which is the big one for holders. So it's beneficial as the brand grows, as we achieve our milestones of manga, anime, and reach that global scale. Holders would also be able to contribute to that and also financially profit by creating things that they want commercially. And on top of the commercial rights, the biggest thing in a PFP collection is also access, right? So usually, if you think about the first drop as the origin NFT, and a lot of people have done this as well. If you look at Azuki and what they did with Beans, the first Genesis NFT usually gives you access to the rest of the ecosystem, and it gives you perks as a holder that, you may not get if you joined in down the line, right? A lot of projects are gonna have second collections, some even have third collections. I think right now you're starting to see a lot less of it because it's a, bear market, but, when the market turns around, a big part of that is the access. And to me, the biggest and honestly, to me, the most important coming from the community side is the people in the community. It's almost like a badge of honor, right? If you own the same NFTs, you go around and essentially meeting people that you already know you have a common bond with, right? So that's why I always think that, in regards to a PFP or a generative collection, it's really just about like membership, access, and ownership, which all together foster connections. And then everyone together, it's kind of like, the rising tide raises all ships in the harbor, right? Where now it's not just the team that's building this brand. You have, for us, around 4,000 holders that are elevating the brand together. So that to me is, the difference of, the generative side of things. And, to me, I'm very curious to hear also about like the physical, because my whole life's purely online, but like, that's my side from the generative.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is important. There's a very important answer with that too, right? I mostly am on Twitter, and if I show people profile pictures and they go, well, why is that worth $10,000? And it's pretty easy to judge a profile picture or a generative project because they don't see the ecosystem behind it. But now we can talk about physical NFTs with both Cherie and Aldrin, who help artists in creating that. Can you talk about the process of how you got into blue chip art and made those into NFTs?
All right. It's very interesting. Blue chip art historically has appreciated through centuries and through decades, as what, Paul Allen's record-breaking 1.5 billion art sale at Christie's. But blue chip fine artist is very rare in the NFT space because there's few to begin with. Second, many do not understand NFTs and they don't want to risk a lifetime with something that's new. So we find that the insight is if we're able to earn their trust, creatively execute it with beautiful art execution, it's possible to create that magic. So that's what we have done, and we've launched NFTs of our national artists like Jose Hoya and Abdul Mari Imao, and their works would normally be unaffordable to the regular person. Like a Hoya would cost $2.2 million at Sotheby's or Christie's. So not many people can spend over 100 million pesos on a painting, but with NFTs, we're able to create a beautiful collaboration with their second generation, and it becomes more affordable. And it also is owning a piece of history, owning a piece of the artist, and you can see that the value of that will transcend time. And a short win that we had is Leon Gallery, which is the largest fine arts auction house in the Philippines, never sold NFT before, but sold one of ours at a premium. So it shows our collectors that it can also be sold even outside OpenSea or the metaverse. They can be appreciated by traditional art markets.
Absolutely. And there's actually a big problem in the traditional art market when it comes to royalties. That's all up to the gallery. Aldrin, do you want to explain that issue and how blockchain helps fix it?
Not normally in the traditional art discipline, we don't get any royalties for the second market. Even if they have auction art pieces in the auction houses, we don't get any of that. So what I like in NFT is when someone sells it in a second market, you get a royalty for that. So I think this is the best way to at least connect the traditional art into in a NFT. So some artists can get at least a royalty for that piece when they auction that in the second market.
Yeah, absolutely. Like imagine if Van Gogh had actually had a foundation where he could always make the money off of how many hands it went through and how many secret paintings they found. If they were NFT'd, there would be generational wealth, right? And living forever on the blockchain. Now, a very interesting sector with Kobe is, as people buy it at auctions and blue chips and also buy it off of OpenSea, there's dozens of markets when it comes to NFT trading and secondary markets. But Kobe aggregates all of that data. And this is a completely different use case for NFTs. This isn't just trading art. This isn't just using generative collections or creating physical NFTs. Can you explain how you use that data for investors and brokerages?
Yeah, sure. So there's lots and lots of data for every NFT that is sold. Every collection is basically typically listed. If it's Ethereum, it's listed on at least 3-4 marketplaces. It's really difficult to track all this. You can maybe go on OpenSea every day and look even at like maybe deeper OpenSea analytics, and it's really difficult to see the bigger picture because a lot of the trading is happening outside of OpenSea. A lot of it is happening OTC, over the counter, so you can't even really see it in the marketplaces. Then there's all the blockchain data that is another beast. You need to be kind of like technical, you know, to go to Etherscan and go quite deep into this. And then finally, there's the traits and the rarity. So you have like a few platforms like rarity tools that give you kind of like a general idea once the collection is fully minted. But there's a lot of things, a lot of blind sides that we notice. So we basically build something. The collection doesn't even need to be fully minted, you know, for us to calculate rarity. We can calculate rarity even if the collection is like 20% minted, and we take this data from like marketplace, blockchain, and then rarity and trade data. And we also look, of course, at like social, so Twitter and Discord mostly, to understand like how is the community looking. And out of all this, we are using machine learning and AI to come up with a reasonable price. And basically, collectors and investors, they come to us, they work with us to give them like a fair price for an NFT they're interested in. So if Sotheby's is going to auction a Punji Penguin in 2 months from now, I can already give to them an estimate on like how much the investor should like propose, you know, kind of like a range. And yeah, and we're able to adjust it, and we're tracking 50 million NFTs like this. So we're tracking like everything that is basically, that has volume in the NFT space on Ethereum, Solana, Tezos, and Polygon, we're tracking. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when I was practicing day trading NFTs, which is not something anyone should practice because it's twice as stressful as the stock market and 5 times as volatile. There was a lot of, it was the hardest thing to find was what's the rarity and what's the floor price and what's the daily volume. And there's so many different ways of doing it, and I had a little spreadsheet, but data tracking in this, and privatizing that and selling that and giving that power to the users is probably one of the most powerful use cases I've seen for NFTs. But Andrew, I would actually like your opinion on how you think modern day businesses in Web 2 can create interesting use cases for entering into Web 3.
Yeah, so I think, you know, for me, the most interesting use cases would be in something the likes of, you know, like a membership program, like a rewards program, a loyalty program, right? Because with that, you know, and with, you know, with it being on blockchain, it's perpetually there, right? And for me, I could see a world where, you know, Starbucks, you know, played around with it a little bit, right? Like to me, that's one of the best case examples, right? You know, you go to Starbucks, you have a Starbucks NFT, you know, you buy your coffee, you know, it's linked to your wallet, you know, and then you get enough points, then boom, you're airdropped a free little cup, you know, and then you could redeem that in a physical store, right? Like for me, that's you know, come from a very different world than like chain, like on chain or like the art side, where, you know, to me, it's all about like valorizing your community and making it easy for your community to collect more things from you, whether that be a Starbucks or a McDonald's or a KFC or even luxury brands, right? You know, I don't know if they have a Nordstrom here, but you know, my mom is a big Nordstrom fan in the U.S. You know, and she'd be swiping that Nordstrom card like like it's nothing just to get the points, you know. And I could see all of that gradually coming more, but you know, I'm not going to say it's going to happen in the near future. I think there's a lot of time that's going to take to onboard. It's going to take a few big people to kind of show how it's done correctly. And then it's going to take, you know, a lot for the mass market to be like, hey, this is okay, you know, because the perception from the mass market is still very different than us here, you know. So and I could kind of see that happening in maybe, you know, like 5 to 10 years. But like, I think it's going to take some big players to experiment around with some sort of loyalty membership program type of thing. And then from there, I think it's going to be a domino effect.
And I'm going to go a little bit more into, you know, mass adoption because in general, there's a lot of pop culture around NFTs, and people think it's the same as a scam because, I mean, there's so many rug pulls. There's a lot of bad hype. I mean, if you hear FTX and then you say, you know, I'm in crypto, but it's not really crypto, it's NFTs. They don't see the difference, really. I mean, our main obstacle is creating trust and how people can believe in the blockchain because it's a little bit hard to understand. But Cherie, how do you make sure there is trust, and how can businesses make sure that their consumers understand and gain that trust with businesses using the blockchain?
Okay, so NFTs are really smart contracts, so they can represent many things. Art is one of them. Andrew mentioned about loyalty. It can be used also in education, like badges that you give to maybe graduates or diplomas. There's many ways to be able to use it where it can help with trust. And the provenance, like for us, you'll be able to see that it comes, the provenance of the art, you'll be able to see if it comes from the right wallet. And then you'll be able to see whether it's a true Hoya or it's something that's minted somewhere else. So things like that, and that it's immutable, really creates a lot of trust. And the fact that it can be used in supply chain, education, hospital, and many other ways, and how you program the smart contract to be able to work that way, then you'll be able to build the trust.
And Aldrin, can you go into, like, just a random question in use cases, but what do you think is a really interesting use case that you've come across when it comes to NFT technology that you're really a fan of?
Okay. I think mostly is the authenticity of the work and the provenance of the piece. So actually, that is the problem for most of the collectors, like the masters painting, the painting of the masters. They don't know if that is the legit pieces or the authentic piece of the artist, but by the power of blockchain and the NFT, you can track it, the history, who is the first owner, second owner, the third owner. So that's the most I like about NFTs.
And Kobe, what do you think in the next few years will be, in the future of NFTs and the evolution, right? We're pretty basic when it comes to like where we're at and what we're seeing, right? We're mostly seeing profile pictures as the media-centric one, but what do you think will be the most popular and most useful way of using NFTs in the future?
Okay, I think that there's 3 use cases that are, I believe, the most in. So first one, I think we all know it. There's like a few companies outside that showcase their products. I think that gaming is the most obvious one, gaming and metaverse. But I think that what happened in the last year and a half in this space was kind of mental. And the execution was just terrible. It was really, really bad execution. Having a lot of people that were riding the wagon, trying to like monetize as fast as possible, competing against each other to get onboarding like users very fast, because there was obviously no regulation, but nobody was there to kind of say, okay, guys, like chill out, chill out with the yields, chill out with like the marketing. It went to a really bad place. A lot of people lost money, obviously. A lot of these projects, they also look terrible. They're not really games. They're just DeFi farming with a game, like gamified basically. Gamified Ponzi's. And I think that I truly believe that the next generation is going to be different. And I think that this is the best use case, or my favorite use case anyway. I still have a dream of playing, I don't know, Diablo 5, getting like all sorts of like rare items, and then going and like selling them for like $5,000, And it's not like some Ponzi that I put money in and it brings me money back, but it's actually like my gameplay, my skill will reward me for my effort. So this is an awesome use case. Another one, I see that we don't have that much time, so I'll go quickly. Tickets, I think they're really awesome. I think that ticketing is a really nice use case. Ticketmaster know it as well. But I think that the whole experience of before the event, after the event, providing the full experience is really good. And then number 3, loyalty programs. I think that they're here already, but it will just take off very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cherie, how do you think that we can streamline these use cases to have better protection for users in the future?
That's a very good question. I think the best way to protect users is education, to be able to understand what it can do. And a lot of the malicious actors or acts that have been happening in Web3 actually use a lot of Web2 kind of strategies like phishing, getting your codes. So if we are all careful and not just clicking on links, maybe just typing out the URL ourselves instead of just clicking on links, it will be a better, safer place for us. Because a lot of currently we have a lot of local banks that give us almost every week reminders not to give your PIN or your OTP. So it's very similar in Web3. We just have to be very vigilant. We have to be careful of how we take care of our keys and don't just click on anything. It's very similar to Web2, and in that way, it'll be a safer place for everyone.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time that we have, so let's give it up for our panelists.
Thank you.
Philippine Blockchain Week. See you next year.